in Massachusetts, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. We have him join us. Rich, good afternoon. How are you today, buddy? What's going on?
Happy New Year, dog.
Thank you, Rich. What do you have for me? Fire away.
Okay, well, before I give you my comments on the game, when you're talking about the greatest game of all time, I'll give you two others that I would argue are better only because no one blew the game in either of these two games. And one was the Flutie game in Miami.
Yeah, the game.
And the other one was
that Flutie game is overrated. He made a great pass, but see, the problem with that Flutie game is it didn't mean anything. Well, what did the game mean?
Right, okay, well, I'll give you one that meant something. The Oklahoma-Nebraska game with Johnny Rodgers.
Well, that was a great game. You know, you're going back to 1971. That's an all-time classic.
Yep.
38-35, okay. Whatever the final was. I'm a little young for that game. I'm 13 years of age. I hesitate to put that on that level based on, I remember watching it, but I'm only 13. It's college football. But I am not putting a Flutie Miami game there. That game, which I'm very familiar with, is extremely overrated that BC grads go gaga about when BC lost 2 games, and Miami stunk that year, for crying out loud. But go ahead.
No, I hear you. Anyway, regarding the game, I have a question about whether or not they could have done something, and then I'll tell you where they lost it. But at the end of the first half, which was a ridiculous play, for the squib kick, I know you can after a safety. Are you allowed to punt the ball off as a kickoff?
I don't know if you can. I don't think you can.
Okay,
that's a good question.
That's the play. You make them fair catch it. But
that's why you probably are not allowed to do it, because the Belichicks of the world would have known that, and in sequences that we would have seen that. So I don't think you can. Go ahead. Okay.
That being said, the most egregious part was the first overtime. You've got the Heisman Trophy winner. You know, based on the way the game was going, you're lucky you stopped them once. You're not stopping them in the second overtime. And you've got to – I'm not saying you should go for it on fourth down, but your play calling has got to be more aggressive in the first overtime.
Well,
and you've got to be thinking touchdown or bust.
I would argue that the overtimes – both possessions in overtime, you must score a touchdown on one of those possessions. And I look at them as a combo. I don't want to separate them. They got the ball first, and they kicked the field goal. So you have the ball twice in a row from the 25-yard line, and one touchdown in a proper sequence will probably win you the game. You got to get the field goal right away. We understand that. You got to kick that field goal. So they got to be a little careful on the first possession. But, you know that you have a chance there, 25 yards, twice in a row to win the semifinal, win a Rose Bowl, go play for a title. You know that. And they played afraid. And you also know that a couple of first downs with 5 minutes to go wins you the title. You don't even have to worry about overtime. And then you also know you got 55 seconds left, and you have 3 timeouts. And we went to go look. They got a first down in their first pass play in overtime. At the end of the regulation there, they had a 10-yard, 12-yard pass play to the 37-yard line. You know from that point on, my goodness, we got a chance here. Couple of plays, 3 timeouts. We are going to win this game. We got a good kicker. We're going to win the game. And those 4 sequences on top of the second half, on top of the kickoff at the end of the first half, is what determines champions. And in this sequence, Oklahoma vomited all over themselves. What Oklahoma did, folks, you know what Oklahoma did? Oklahoma went into the back 9 of a major golf tournament with a 7-stroke lead and got tied. They did Arnold Palmer in 1966. They got tied at the end of they got tied at the end of 18. They went to a shootout on 1. They went to a sudden death on 1, and they were in a situation where a birdie wins the tournament on an easy par 5. They went back to the tee box again on 1, or maybe they go to a different hole where they have a chance to get a birdie and put all the pressure on Georgia. And both times they settled for pars. I mean, that's what they did. You can't gag more than Oklahoma did. Gag. gig. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know how tough they are in Norman or in Oklahoma City, but if the one time a year you want to do sports talk, well, maybe 2 times. When Durant comes in, you can boo the hell out of him. And of course, today, I don't know how many times you want to do a sports talk show in Oklahoma City. I get that. But if there is a day that you can plant your big fat fanny behind some microphone in a certain town to get the message across and to make sure those people in Norman hear you, today is the day. Today is the day. W, whatever it might be, begins with a K, and it's West enough. K, wherever it might be, in Oklahoma City, I'm Christopher Russo, and it's time to pound OU. Phone calls are next. Boom. Today is the day. Let's call it like we see it. Ryan in Ramsey, New Jersey, I believe. Ryan, good afternoon. How are you today, pal? What do you have for me?
Doggy, honestly, I think the Big 12 does not play any defense and lets this go on. Every time I put on a Big 12 game, whether it's West Virginia, Oak State, Texas Tech, they just don't play any D at the end, and they don't pay attention.
Well, the defense, you're right, Ramsey, but they didn't lose the game yesterday because of defense. The defense didn't help. They lost the game yesterday because the thing that carries them on a week-to-week basis, they let them down, and that's their offense and the quarterback, and they let them down.
Right. And what about this? You just won the Heisman Trophy. You're the best player in the country, and they're going to take the ball out of your hands?
Well, we've been on that theme constantly. I mean, he had the semifinal game in his hip pocket, and Mayfield spit the bit with the head coach. Spit the bit combo. I'm not blaming everything on Riley, the head coach. Mayfield's got to get some abuse here too. Spit the bit. 4 putt at every green. Spit the bit. 8 in front of the arrow. We continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.
It's Chip Miller.